one. Welcome everyone to block party number 98. Wow, we're approaching 100, and we're here for the Food Healers segment. And as always, we are blessed to be joined by Dr. Silas Rao. And today, Ray and Kelly are back. Super exciting. Sarah just joined. Welcome everyone. And Silas, please take it away. We love you, brother. How you doing? And what's doing good today?
Thank you, Jamin. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's been very busy. I just came back from California yesterday, and a lot of good things have happened. For World Food Healers Day, we now have a fairly strong contingent of people who have joined. The Food Not Bombs organization is in over 1,000 cities, and they've joined. Food for Life Global, they're in over 60 countries, and they've joined, and they serve about 2 million meals a day already. So they're going to help us get World Food Healers Day going. And I also spoke to Ingrid, and so we are going to start, Jiva and I are going to start distributing food in Phoenix on a weekly basis, starting Wednesday, March 9th. So Jiva went and got her food handler's license. I'm going to get one today, and Akhil will get one today. So we'll start working on it together. Right? And what else? The Loving Hut people are talking to, so Supreme Masters people are talking to all the Loving Hut franchises around the world. So they're calling them to see if they can rope them all on board. So the goal is to get restaurants that open up their restaurant and give out this Unity Stew or something like that, a universal meal on that day for free. You'll be given a badge. So we are working on a 5-star badge, or a badge from Vega, the cow, saying they're a Vega Star establishment. And so far, I have one restaurant that has already signed up and said, we are in. We need to get, if you get the Loving Hut franchise, I think that'll be a good start. And so that will put pressure on all the other restaurants to join as well. So I think if we can get restaurants, we can cover cities. You know, if we get restaurants in all the vegan restaurants, and hopefully more than vegan restaurants. We want to get other restaurants as well, but to serve vegans too on that day for free. So that should cover, we could cover all the cities. And now then it becomes a question of how to address the rural areas and areas where there aren't vegan restaurants. So that's the mapping we're going to be doing, looking at the map of vegan restaurants on Happy Cow, and then figuring out where the populations of the world are and what we need to do in that area. So that's what we're going to be analyzing today and the next couple of days. And we want to form, like, you know, councils of people for the advisory council, and then an action council, and then a service council, as Shelley was talking, you know, for food healers on a global level, and then the same kind of thing in each country, in each region, and so on, so that people know how to get their resources to get it done, and to build up the ecosystem for continuing this beyond World Food Healers Day. It cannot be a one-day thing and then we move on. No, this is a systemic change that we are trying to get to. So with that, I'm complete. Thank you all for being here.
Beautiful, Silas. So exciting. I think there is so much creativity we can bring to this. And speaking of creativity, Ray and or Kelly have their hand up. Go for it, Ray.
Oh, you want, okay. Ray said you should talk about your experience getting your food handler certificate, because I got mine a few years ago and I did the in-person one, and it was an all-day lesson, and you do your test at the end. And so I brought a lunch and I brought a vegan egg salad, and when we came back, the instructor did this little experiment where they asked what everyone ate. And everyone ate meat. I was the only vegan there. And I said, and she was writing it down. And I said I had an egg salad sandwich. And so she wrote it down. And then she asked us to test our knowledge, which one had the most potential for food poisoning or something like that. And so, of course, I guessed meat. Everything, actually, everyone, I think, guessed the meat one. And she said, no, actually, it's the vegan egg salad one because of the mayonnaise. And I was like, it's vegan. There's no egg in it, right? But she wouldn't listen. She was trying to justify my meal being the one that would have been highest at risk for an illness. And I just had to keep my mouth shut. Right?
Well, also the course itself is so geared towards
meat.
How do you keep contamination of your meat from the other products? How do you handle food in a way that you don't contaminate it?
Yeah.
And so, there's so much, well, that doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me. Using different separate cutting boards for your meat, well, that doesn't apply to me. So it's kind of an interesting forum, but not terribly knowledgeable about vegan processes, and hopefully there's an opportunity that they'll see that that's actually the meat is deeply related to lots of contamination. And I would challenge that mayonnaise comment that they made, because I heard mayonnaise actually has a pH balance that's not favorable for bacteria. It's actually onions that are most likely to absorb. Onions are a sponge for bacteria. So if there's onions in the egg salad, then that's probably what's going to cause it.
I used to be a health inspector.
You did?
Yes.
Wow.
Going into restaurants, checking the temperature of the meats and the dairy and the pies. Okay, you could leave those out all day, but anything with meat, dairy, and eggs, and mayo, because it was a culture for growing bacteria. Anything that had to be, well, not anything that had to be refrigerated, but yeah, I had the temperatures down and everything back then. But if our vegan mayo has to be refrigerated, and so I have wondered about that. Is it a would bacteria grow in it? But I hadn't studied about the onions part. Very interesting.
Were you tough?
Oh, I closed some restaurants for sure. Yeah.
But we encountered a food inspector at Esther, the Wonder Pig. There was an event happening there, and a food inspector came, and everybody was trying to keep their food at a serving temperature. And all we had was propane burners and chafing dishes, which wasn't keeping the temperature high. So somebody had this butane cook stove, a flame in one of the tents. So it kept bringing batches over and heating it up on this thing and coming back. And he's kind of coming back and forth and testing temperatures, going, nope. I mean, he probably should have shut us down, but he was pretty lenient.
Yeah, I was too tough in some cases, and probably not tough enough in some other cases, trying to be consistent. But reserving food was the thing that I felt like was really bad. Oh goodness. Yeah, that was a hard time.
Jamie, you got your hand up?
Yeah. On the topic of World Food Healers Day,
Yeah.
and promoting the event. I know we've got a whole bunch of technicals that need to get sorted out. Food safety being very high on the list. And I think, clearly we have the technology for that, the know-how between BJ and Kelly and Silas and Sarah and everyone here. I'd like to focus kind of on the marketing. How do we make this thing blow up, right? And so I'll just tell a couple of stories on my own kind of journey to veganism. Silas took us to this great restaurant in Berkeley called The Butcher's Son in Berkeley, California. And we went there, and as soon as we walked in, I just felt this energy, right? And you all know what I mean, who've gone on the journey. And it's like, wait a second, I'm home. And I just went to the server and I just said, thank you for all you do. So the vegan restaurants, and then we went to a restaurant, and Silas and I went to a couple of vegan restaurants in Los Angeles while he was here. And, you just feel the love, you feel the excitement, right? And so I'm thinking that what we put in the windows of these restaurants, right, participating restaurants, is going to be absolutely key, because the people who go to these restaurants, whether vegan or pre-vegan, they feel the love, they feel the excitement, and it's kind of like, okay, how can I make this, how can I keep this magic going even after I leave the restaurant, right? And so this is a way to do that. And so how do we position it? How do we market it? What are the images, the colors, the wording, everything that makes everyone feel, oh my goodness, wow, this is really happening. So I just want to kind of put that out there as an open question. And welcome back, Bill. Bill just joined us, and Kelly and/or Ray have their hand up. Go for it. Kelly and
Yeah,
Ray.
we went to CalCon in Berkeley, the Cowspiracy convention, the first one, and we went. That was our spot that we went to, and had our breakfast every day. But the Butcher's Son, and it's not even labeled as vegan on the outside, but the everything is vegan inside, and the idea of butcher is captured in how they present the food, and they wrap it in the brown paper, and they got like a butcher, like a deli counter with a glass front on it with fresh mozzarella, and it's like the experience that's so familiar to people. So I mean, the food is important, but the presentation was just like, this is a butcher. You think that you need to go to a butcher? Here's one.
It inspired us. I mean, it still inspires us, because we always think about how to do that. And we do have a vegan butcher here. It's called Yam Chops, but it's not like that. Like, they have the meats on, but it's not that same feeling, right? That you're going into one. Because I remember growing up, like, we had a corner store and they had a butcher place at the back. And I remember just that feeling of going to the butcher, and yeah, like Ray was saying, getting it wrapped up in paper. And that's something that hasn't been captured here. And we always thought, like, that's what we need to normalize, that feeling that people like, which probably, one of the reasons why they like eating meat is they like that experience. I know we used to go to a butcher when, like, further down, like we were a little bit more west of Toronto, and we loved going there because it was a really authentic butcher shop and butcher experience, and at one point we were considering opening up beside a cafe, a vegan cafe. They had a spot, and they really wanted to rent it out to a vegan. And we had thought about doing that, because it would have been a perfect complement to get your meats and your cheeses and your sandwiches, and then go get your desserts from them.
This idea of staple foods is one that we really need, because Kelly's always think about products, but there's lots of vegan products as such, box, packaged, frozen, but having staples like a chicken breast, people go shopping to buy ingredients for their favorite recipes, the family, treasured recipes, and to have, substituted ingredients, like literally take a staples approach to food, rather than, a meal in a box or something that's prepackaged. And I mean, we usually think in terms of making things easy. Sometimes people want they actually like to cook, and they need substitution for the ingredients, not the whole finished product.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, speaking of staples, oh, BJ, I saw you just got your hand up. But speaking of staples, how do we make food healers a staple, right, for every community? And then if you want to look at it more focused, for every vegan community, right? And, you know, Melissa and I were playing around with memes a couple of weeks ago, and one that we came up with is, one day everyone will be doing this. And then think, you know, because that connotes staple. One day everyone will be doing this, ... And then in smaller subtext, that day is coming, November 19th, 2022. And that makes people curious, you know, what's coming? It's like something's coming, you know, that the whole don't look up and everything is something's coming. There's an imminent date. So anyway, I'm just bouncing around ideas, and BJ has her hand up. Go for it, BJ, sister.
Thank you. We have a taco place and a little bunch of little trailers around for vegan foods, and it's really fun to go there. But they used to have little stickers for sale. It'd be about this big around, and people wanted them because they were so cool, and that's what we need to have, is a sticker that's so cool. And this one that I remember, but there were a few of them that were just so adorable, but one of them was save the earth, that's where I get my tacos. And then there was these tacos flying around with little wings on them. So it's a funny thing, you want to save the earth for your tacos, but you know, and so we've got Vega, which is very good, and we want something, you know, that will and maybe, I don't know, marketing people will figure out whether we want to have a place then they can go to see what's up, you know. Maybe they could look up, you can't look up VCOP right now, by the way, because so many things come up under VCOP. I tried searching and I couldn't find it, but anyway, food healers are, you know, I think y'all are on the right track. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, and I think what occurs to me in terms of that sign, again, leveraging vegan restaurants as these sort of, you know, local meccas, right? Let's face it, the Butcher's Son, that's a mecca. Silas and I went to the Grain Cafe down not far from where I'm staying at Sarah's. It's one of Sarah's favorite restaurants. And we felt the same energy and love. And it's kind of like people are like checking out the other, you know, customers there. It's like, yeah, you know, my people, we want to connect, we want to belong, right? So what I'm thinking is that the sign, and, you know, let's have an option for, you know, more like a poster, you know, whether it's a small one, 8.5 by 11, or you want to go the bigger option, 11 by 17, great, you know, but let's have options here. But the poster, I think the thing at the top, the main thing should be food healers. Like, let people wonder, what is food healers? And then maybe towards the middle, you know, food healers day, you know, so you can see like food healers. One day everyone will be doing this, right? That day is coming, food healers day, right? So it's an ad for both food healers and food healers day, that will make people curious. And, you know, foodhealers.org, if Silas, if that's still the main website for food healers, makes sense, right? That, you know, that we want to draw people to that. What I'm even thinking is there could even be like food healers meetings. If the restaurant wants to say, hey, Wednesday night is food healers night, right? And, you know, what does that mean? I don't know, right? We could have different sort of options that they can check the check boxes for and say, oh, well, that sounds good. That sounds good. Because we have to think like a small business owner. You know, you're an entrepreneur, you've started a restaurant, you've made all this upfront investment, you know, revenue's growing, you're trying to break even, you know, they're all concerned about how do we bring more people in, right? I mean, so let's think win-win, because yes, they're vegan, but they're also an entrepreneur who needs to make a living. And in pandemic times, et cetera, you know, it can be a bit of a challenge. So how do we make this win-win that brings people into their restaurant? That's what they want. So think of options where, and I think the if we can, we've got graphic design folks on our team. So what if in the presentation of this package to a restaurant, we say, hey, listen, here's different options for the poster. One of those is you have a weekly event. One of them is you have a monthly event, right, that you can advertise. And on the very bottom of the poster, it'd say, join us right here at, and then put the restaurant's name, etc. That's right. Sarah's pointing out that Jane is very good with advertising. So let's get Jane Velez Mitchell and Unchained TV. Let's get the whole vegan community on board with this. And speaking of getting the vegan community together and on board, we're working towards being able to do food healers in Los Angeles every Saturday. That's why I'm here for 3 weeks and sweating it out as Darth Vader. And, with the Saturday event. So that's one, kind of new venue for getting people together. But all these vegan restaurants, there's 400, over 400 in Los Angeles. So we've got all these local meccas all over LA, and likewise Toronto, New York, etc. How do we activate it? That's the big question. Kelly and Ray have their hand up. Go for it.
That reminds me that Jane had a clubhouse room that we attended, and I mentioned this concept of the Food Healers Day. Is she already involved in it? Because they pitched it pretty good right at the end of the session, and she was attending. I'm sure she heard everything I was talking about.
And it's a good way to get it done on Jane TV, and like it could be a two-way street, because she's looking for ways to advertise on Jane TV, and she was asking me yesterday, like, thinking outside the box, how we can get that out, so a lot of vegans right now still don't know about it. So letting restaurants know about this, and maybe they can coordinate and have something on Jane TV, because I know she wants content. She's just trying to build content right now, whatever that is. And so if it gives them the ability to do something, maybe they've got ideas that they want to contribute, it's a win-win, on top of feeding everyone that she's speaking to.
Yeah.
Yes, Silas, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I haven't written to Jane yet. I've been writing to people one by one, so I haven't gotten to Jane yet. But yeah, this is until April 16th, we are basically setting up and growing this so that on April 16th, when we are going to have Vega, so I'm having Vega shipped from London to Phoenix, and I'm planning to do this in Los Angeles. So because I have to be in Los Angeles on April 16th. So, but I think Los Angeles, no one has yet stepped forward to organize the Vegan Climate March. So it's not there on the list of cities yet. So we need to get the animal safe movement involved in the Vegan Climate March, first and foremost, because I think I want all the animal safe people joining the Vegan Climate March. So I'm going to try and connect Kyle Luzinski with Anita Krang, so we can get that going. And I want to do this in Los Angeles and have Vega be there during the march, and then announce World Food Healers Day officially, okay, and the press conference and the press release to happen on that day. And with a list of all these people who have joined, and with a map showing, map that is literally lit up, like a Christmas tree, that people are already joined. So that would include all of the Food Not Bombs cities lit up, Food for Life global centers lit up, so that it looks like it has already built momentum, otherwise people won't take it too seriously. So, because to me, it's organizing around healing. That is the central theme of what we are trying to achieve here. Organizing humanity around healing ourselves, healing the animals, healing the earth. And that's what we are trying to achieve. Because right now we are organized around extracting money. when extracting wealth. Okay, and then we are literally lying to each other about things because we have our own narrow perspectives. So that's the meat-splaining memo I sent out last night. If you haven't gotten it, please take a look at that. Yeah, the meat-splaining that's happening is because different bodies of people are organized around extracting money for themselves, and then they're figuring out how to do that. And they're saying, okay, for the meat industry, we need to explain how everyone has to continue to consume meat, right? That's how it is set up. But so we know in engineering, like we have a group of people who are working towards a common objective, and we achieve it because the objective is fixed and everyone knows what it is and everyone is working for that objective. Okay. Here, if you have groups of people working for their objective is to extract money for themselves, and they're lying about things. And so we have this system where everyone is, different bodies of people are lying about different things in order to get their voices heard. And that's why we are at odds with each other, we're fighting with each other and so on. So because our common objective is not there. Actually, our common objective is to extract from the planet as quickly as possible for ourselves, not for others, right? So when we create a common objective that is larger than ourselves, it's about healing ourselves and healing the planet, then I think we will all come together. So that's the motivation for Food Healers Day. And food, of course, is the foundational system that needs to change. And so this is why we are focusing on World Food Healers Day. So I don't know. I mean, I think that this organizing around this and inspiring people to join, inspiring restaurants to join, and having enough of a momentum going at the press conference would allow this to blow, to grow exponentially. Thank you.
Beautiful, Silas. A couple things I want to comment on. So you're hitting the nail on the head. One of the things about vegans that I'm observing as I get more and more embedded in the whole worldwide vegan community is vegans really don't like dominion, right? They don't like any of anyone or anything, right? And that includes ourselves. That includes oneself. And it reminds me actually of a lot about business in certain parts of Latin America. I used to go to El Salvador quite a bit, and some industrialist friends there told me big companies don't grow here in this region. La gente aquí es muy rebelde. The people here are very rebellious, right? They don't want to be dominated by anyone else. So everyone needs to have their own little changarro, their own little thing, even if it's small. Hey, but it's mine. And I've been observing this in right here in Los Angeles. And so we need a way to bring people together that's safe so that they have their independence and they're part of a bigger thing. And I think that World Food Healers Day is the perfect thing for that. And an idea occurred to me in terms of bringing us all together. Consider this, Silas, and everyone, especially since you haven't reached out to Jane yet. Jane's here in LA, and she can get around to any of the 400 plus vegan restaurants in Los Angeles. What if in our pitch, and by the way, I'm inspired to call these restaurants one by one, call them on the phone and talk with them. Back in my entrepreneurial days, my colleagues literally called me the cold call king because I'm really good at cold calling. I learned from my dad how to just be really effective on the phone and friendly and all that. So imagine I call them up. Let's just do a mock phone call. Who wants to be the restaurateur? Somebody raise their hand. Yeah. Okay, BJ. Let's call it BJ's Tacos. Okay. Ring.
Hello, BJ's Tacos.
Oh, hi. Yeah, Jamin
what would
Shively
you
here
like?
with.
Oh,
Hi. Hi, Jamin Shively here with Food Healers. Is Miss BJ there, please?
Well, you happen to catch me at a good moment. The rest, we're working really hard today. How can I help you? What order can I get for you today?
Oh, thank you so much, BJ. Well, this is a very special order, in fact. What we're doing is we're creating World Food Healers Day, and we're inviting all vegan restaurants to participate. And let me just cut to the chase, BJ, now that I got your attention. So it's on November 19th, blah, 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 all the details about it. And this is a really beautiful win-win opportunity, because what we're going to be able to do for BJ's Tacos is we'll create a custom poster for you. And we have a bunch of dates available. We have several dates available where Unchained TV, you're in Los Angeles, BJ's Tacos. Are you familiar with Unchained TV?
Oh, you bet.
Oh, wonderful. So we have certain dates that Jane has committed that are available for her. She will go to BJ's Tacos with her film crew.
Oh my
and
God.
interview you about your participation in World Food Healers Day, Food Healers. Why are you supporting? Why do you love it? You can do it where you've got some of your loyal customers there. You can even advertise it and say, hey, on May 18th, we're going to have Unchained TV here, live filming, We're going to be talking food healers. We're recruiting volunteers, because we're going to need volunteers to help bring the food to communities and people who need it. Like, for example, the elderly, the disabled who can't come out. We're going to be delivering to them. So anyway, I've got several dates here. Bob. Do any of these dates work for you?
Well, just send me your proposal and I'll look it over.
Wonderful, BJ. Really great talking with you. I'll send it to you today, and then I'll look forward to following up maybe next week.
Thank you for calling.
Wonderful,
Sounds
BJ.
interesting.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
You bet.
Have a great day. And thank you for all you're doing. You see, now, so imagine, Silas, we get a calendar that Jane says, listen, these dates I'm setting aside, you go ahead and schedule them for me. Right? And on these calls, we can schedule those. My goodness, Unchained TV. Whoa. Sarah has her hand up. But Silas, looks like you've got something to say. Go ahead, Silas, and then Sarah.
No, I mean, I was just going to say that's awesome. That's the kind of thing that we need to be doing with the 8,000 vegan restaurants that are on Happy Cow app. So go ahead, Sarah.
Good morning. I wanted to just remind you that I've sent several emails to you about to this team about the Atlanta Vegetarian Pack and Cook vegetarian meals for the homeless. They cook vegan meals in Atlanta. It's called Food, and then the number 4, and then Lives, Lives. And they have one this Saturday, February 26th at 10 a.m. And it looks like 5 people are going. I've emailed them for meetup, but they haven't returned my, I just thought that somebody could reach out to them, because it's called Food, and then the number 4, and then Lives community. And it says we all live to serve. They're committed to serving the homeless community 7 days a week. Each day is something different. Sign up for blah, blah, blah. So because I haven't signed up for it, I emailed the organizer, but they didn't write me back. But that was a while ago. And I just thought, it just says that there's from 1 to 3 p.m. There's daily, there's service, there's like kitchen. They do a bunch of stuff, but they do food distribution between 2:30 and 4. And it's just amazing to see this group. And there's a contact called Lakshman. So I'll put that into the chat if somebody can. I mean, I don't mind. And then there's an email as well. But I just thought maybe Dr. Rao, I know you have a lot on your plate. No pun intended, but I just really think that we have to get someone else besides myself to reach out, because they're not getting back to me. And the other idea I had that I was telling Jamin about is we went to we were talking about getting Angela from Jackfruit Cafe and inviting all the vegan chefs to make a pot of stew. And so this is the same concept as like they're going to be making it and serving it at their restaurant. We also invite the vegan chefs to in LA to make the stew from our recipe, and we can come by and pick it up from them and serve it out there and then people, that gives them recognition. And it's like, this is free stew made by Jackfruit Cafe, and then they can go spend their money there. But to support the vegonomy, I think we need to get these people on board and get that badge. I love the idea of the badge. I think it's great. I'm going to type this into the chat for you, but also the way to get volunteers is to stay within the vegan community, to get them to cook the stew. And Jeremy from Food Not Bombs, I think you mentioned that. He's going to be helping us at volunteers. So I think you mentioned you talked to Food Not Bombs and they're on board. So that's even better. So I can tell Jeremy that great news. And we saw him at the pig vigil along with a couple other volunteers that are coming. Evelyn's coming. She has her mobility people bring her in her wheelchair, giving her a ride on Saturday. So that's amazing. She's going to help. And it's just amazing how many people want to help. It's just, you just have to reach out there and ask. So I took Jamie to the pig vigil on Wednesday, and he got to pet one of the pigs in the truck before he got murdered. And then we got to talk to people, and he made an announcement actually on Food Healers. Thank you. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I'm going to type it in. So yeah, I did say vegonomy, VEGONOMY, vegonomy. We've been talking about that for a long time. Support the vegonomy. So I'm just one of those people that don't support, the big, people coming out with the burgers and the plant, all the fake chicken stuff. I mean, that's fine for other people, but for me, I just want to focus on the plant-based food movement. Thank you.
Beautiful, Sarah, and welcome Global Citizen who just joined. The thing about the vegan chefs, which I absolutely love, we could do special segments on Unchained TV focusing on vegan chefs, and even have like, I don't know, Vegan Idol or something, where you have some judges who go and taste the different, and give feedback, because we want feedback. As we develop these universal meals, it's still kind of early days in terms of perfecting them and having a whole repertoire, a whole menu, right? And so what better way than to get a bunch of vegan chefs, get them on Unchained TV. And speaking of win-win, this is a huge win-win, because what does Unchained TV need? Content, right? So if we can become a content distributor for them, a content organizer, that takes a huge load off their plate and loads up Unchained TV with awesome content. So Silas, this is really a golden opportunity, I think, since you have such a great connection with Jane already, to say, hey, here's the big idea, Jane. We can start in Los Angeles. We can eventually do other cities. Why not? Unchained TV on the road. They can get correspondents in Chicago, New York, Miami, Austin, wherever. Hey, I think I know a good potential correspondent for Austin, Texas. But she just commits to whatever dates, and you fill those dates. That's it. It's that simple. I mean, I'll fill them with the cold calls. And Ray and Kelly have their hand up. Go for it.
Jane actually had a show that was just right before COVID. It was New Day, New Chef. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, Jamin, where, there was a new chef and they had like, a little panel. It was kind of like, not like Chop, but you know what I mean? Like one of those cooking shows, and they tasted and they rated, and that was on Amazon, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. For 1 or 2, I think it was just 1 season or 2, I can't remember, but I'm thinking that it probably didn't continue, maybe partly COVID, because I think it was just right around that time. So I don't know what Jane's plans are with New Day, New Chef, but that concept is definitely has already been there, and maybe could be revived. Maybe she has every intention on reviving it. And that's like, it was a great concept, but it was very local, because everyone was in the kitchen with Jane, lots of entertainment. If we wanted to expand that, you could do a virtual one where you can bring in more chefs around the world who want to participate. And, you can't have the tasting component, but or maybe that's, you have a local new chef in different cities and expand that, so that concept is like there, and there's a lot of fun.
It'd be good to know if that set's still available.
Hmm.
But one asset that she does have is daily. She does Lunch Break Live, which Kelly participates in. It's probably hundreds of self-styled chefs. Some people aren't chefs; they're just people who have a great recipe that they want to share, and they have, what is it, half an hour or 20 minutes?
Half hour, but you could but anything up under half hour, you do it. I'm actually doing it tomorrow.
And that's one of the features of that's now on Unchained TV on a regular basis. What about one that is, you create up another time slot and invite all those chefs to participate in this second project, and they make their version of Unity Stew. Here are the rules. Show us how innovative, how exciting one recipe can be adapted, and people will tune into it and be challenged to participate as well, and offer their own variations of Unity Stew. It just has to follow these specific rules. It's Universal Meal certified by PCRM, and PCRM may want to sponsor that kind of a show.
Like you can call it Unity Chefs or something.
Yeah, I'm speaking to PCRM on Monday, actually. So, I mean, so I'm lining up a bunch of meetings with these organizations. Yeah.
And they're aware that the Unity Stew is focused on their universal meal option, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Were you thinking of changing it to Universal Stew?
Universal Stew? Well, I thought about it, but I think Unity Stew is shorter. It's just one syllable and it sort of rolls better.
It has a more of emotional attachment, whereas Universal just kind of indicates scale, but not that unity emotion.
Right.
But that at the right price, maybe it could be Universal Stew if they're they like that idea.
No, I mean, we are calling it a healthy universal meal, right? So we are saying you can cook any other healthy universal meal, but here's the Unity Stew if you would like to.
Right, you can make it like a tagline branding, association with Unity, with the universal meal certification.
Yeah.
Beautiful. James has his hand up. What a great conversation. And thank you, Global Citizen. Good stuff in the chat. Feel free to raise your hand. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. Yeah, just listening there. I think, like, it seems to me a combination of all three. What you're individually talking about, Jamin, all of what you're all talking about, really, a combination of all those three different things that, like, Jane Unchained already had something similar, and but as you were saying there, it was probably shut down because of the COVID restrictions. But it could be revived. But it could be revived now with the World Vegan, November 19 as well, and it could be promotional for that, towards that as well. Then using Jane with Jamin's idea, and as Ray was saying, get people in to create their own versions of the universal stew. Yes, because that would be a good, first of all, variety for the universal stew idea, but not just invite them to create a universal stew. Invite them to create, as you said yourself, Silas, a healthy meal. So to create a meal for each time of the day, so a healthy vegan breakfast, a healthy vegan lunch, and a healthy version of the universal stew. So whatever the chefs that turn up, or even the ordinary public who have their own recipes turn up, they can choose which category they want to go into. But what you're going to end up with at the end of the day is a result is 3 healthy vegan meals for the day, and a choice of them as well.
Absolutely. It could be a showcase for universal meals, PCRM's universal meals, right? People are cooking different versions of universal meals, and the Unity Stew is one of those. It's a recipe template for universal meals. And I mean, for something that is complete in one bowl, that's the idea behind the Unity Stew, that everything is in there in one bowl.
Yeah, actually, when I was doing the Vegan World 26th that I had a couple contacts with PCRM, their universal meal, and I was promoting the idea of turning it into not just a certification, but a genre of cooking, and have challenges, universal challenges to try to get, that celebrity chef mojo working on this new genre. Do you have universal cred, right? And that they have to, show up or shut up. And I couldn't always gauge the tone, like the reaction, because they didn't give an awful lot of reaction. I thought this would be something that they'd be really excited about. Hey, the grassroots vegan movement wants to promote our concept. But I think one of the things that I'm imagining, I can't say for sure, but they do have a conservative approach in the sense that they're approaching airlines and institutions. And I don't think they want to have that vegan activist, crazy eye vibe to what they're doing. They may want to manage that association. And so we may want to temper. I think Silas will be the good ambassador to the program, since he's also on the advisory committee. And I'm just keeping that in mind. I don't think Jane's brand would be terrifying to them. I think they'd really like it. But just having a random meat is murder wearing t-shirt wearing activist would probably not be up their alley.
Yeah, you're right about that. They have a rather slightly conservative trend, a bent. I mean, I would say that there are two kinds of activism, right? Activism which goes and asks the powers that be to please change for us, right? So that's the kind of activism that they prefer, and they do have wins in that, but it's incremental, because the powers that be say, well, I won't do that now. I won't do that now. Okay, I'll give you this little crumb now, right? So that's the kind of activism that is conservative, and it's in the system, in the current system. The kind of activism that we are trying to do with World Food Healers Day, it's sort of disruptive to the system, because we are just saying, hey, we're just going to cook it and give it away. And so that's, they can't control it. Right? The big people, the powers that be, don't like this kind of activism that we are doing. Which is so I don't know how PCRM will come down on this. This is why I think Neil Barnard has not replied to my email, because I wrote to him also. But we'll have to figure out how to bring them along, because we don't have the time for I mean, I say continue the old kind of activism, going and begging those people to be reasonable, but we need to start doing things on our own, and then they'll come along very quickly, right? So the idea is how to make them come along very quickly, not sit around and delay things. And I think getting this activism going in a big way, and all we are really doing is getting everyone who is already doing this under the same umbrella. Okay, talking to each other, and therefore growing their own movement too. The reason Food for Life jumped is because they want to grow their movement. The reason Food Not Bombs jumped is because they want to grow their movement, right? So being involved in this will help them grow their movement. And because they will then, be part of this marketing that we're doing, and we'll be part of serving more and more meals if they can by the time that day comes around. So it's doing both and helping people in the leadership position to getting them to jump up off their seats and do things quicker. That's all we're trying to do. Thanks. Go ahead, Jamin.
Beautiful, Silas. No, you're hitting the nail on the head, because you're talking the language of win-win. How do we make this win-win-win all the way around? Unchained TV wants to grow their audience and grow their content. Each vegan restaurant wants to grow their business, right? These various nonprofits want to grow. We want to grow. We have such a golden opportunity right here in Los Angeles. I always come back to Los Angeles because it's the media capital of the world, the largest number of vegan restaurants in any metropolis. It's got great vibe, and different from Las Vegas, what happens in Los Angeles does not stay in Los Angeles. It goes to the world, okay? So you've got listen, we work our butts off to get a venue, and I dress as Darth Vader, and we go through all this big effort to project something, a number of things. We have over 400 vegan restaurants right here within a stone's throw that operate 7 days a week, most of them, right? They can be projection platforms for us. All we have to do is ask, make that phone call, and we're going to perfect that. In fact, at some point, once I've got it practiced a little bit, I'll do it here on Zoom so everyone else can learn, and you can be your own cold call king or queen. But the play is so clear. Jane Unchained TV, going to these restaurants, bringing her crew, it'll become a thing, right? Because listen, each of these restaurants has their, Miles, great to see you. Each of these restaurants has their secret sauce, okay? Some are Latin focused, others are Asian focused, et cetera, et cetera. Let the Asian focused one have an Asian, spiced and styled unity stew that just blows your mind. Oh my goodness. And then the Mexican one, woo, Cuban, you name it, right? So then the big question will be for every vegan restaurant, have you been on Unchained TV yet? No? Oh, you got to talk to Silas, or you got to talk to, whatever this, I'm envisioning a whole new distribution platform. It's win-win-win. Jane Unchained TV grows. The restaurants grow. I mean, they get television coverage. What restaurant would possibly say no to TV coverage from a network that is right at the heart of what they're doing? So I think we're really onto something here. We got to leverage the restaurants. We got to get this program going. So let's refine it. And, but I nominate Silas to have that conversation with Jane whenever you're ready, Silas. But I mean, I'm telling you, she's going to love it. Everyone's going to love it, because the question will be, have you been on Unchained TV yet? That will be the great unifier in terms of media and in terms of promoting and developing these delicious unity stews and other meals, per James's comment. Ray's got his hand up, followed by Miles. The Canadians are invading. Call national security. Okay, go for it, Ray and Kelly.
I'm wondering about that idea of PCRM in approaching institutions. Do we want institutions, or are we aiming at the restaurant level, but not the Marriott catering, empire level to be involved? Like, would that be a bad thing if they decided they wanted to help brand this?
I think we should, because, well, like in Canada, so the Clubhouse room yesterday that I moderated with Jane, the guest was Eloisa Trinidad, and she's the one that's working in New York to help with the healthy, I can't remember the act that was proposed, and Billie Eilish is promoting. So I know that the States is a little bit different in Canada. In Canada, at least here in Toronto, like in schools and that, they have contracts. So like there is a particular, like if you're a big food company, you've got a lock in so many places. So it'd be really hard to infiltrate and say, can we get vegan options? Because I tried that at my son's high school. What vegan options do we have for him, right? What, like, can you get this and that? And they're like, it's not us, it's whatever the company was, right? So they're big. We should absolutely, because they control high schools, like Ray was saying, hospitals, high schools, this, that. So we should be targeting them, in my opinion.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. We need to target both, but I mean, this is why I support what Eloisa is doing, what Billie Eilish is doing. I mean, that's great work that needs to be done, going to Congress. But you need to also put pressure from the grassroots. Serious pressure from the grassroots. And that's what we are trying to do with food healers. So it's both, right? So when you put pressure from the grassroots, then they will say, oh my God, we better get on board. Otherwise the train's running without us. So they will jump, it's that push-pull That's what Gandhi was also trying to do, right? So it's you have to do both. So he was going and asking the British to do things, and then he was asking people to change their clothes. So he did both.
And you kind of have a different approach to something like a catering empire, because they are part of that existing system.
Right.
So it's going to be a special case where you find somebody that is part of the system, but really has a heart for what you're doing, and may be okay with infiltrating from within.
Well, if you're talking about parts of the system, we all know what we're talking about. So then the best way to appeal to them is to appeal to their greed. So rather than approach them from a benevolent end, you could approach them in the sense that what you're only asking that we just say no. For the instance, Burger King and McDonald's were brought out, and they're making a big thing about their plant-based burgers. But we all know what the real truth of that is. It doesn't matter. The point is they're doing it in an effort to continue to draw people in to buy the real burgers. So you could approach the likes of McDonald's and Burger King and those that are offering plant-based options and ask them, in the spirit of World Vegan Day, and given that you really are making a genuine effort to, you know what I'm saying, plum awesome. Given that you're making an effort to let people see that you have a plant-based option, how about on World Vegan Day, if you offered your plant-based burgers for free on that day, just as a token of affiliation with healthy eating and the plant-based movement? And if they refuse that, you could say, well, if you're worrying about profits, you can always offer. You could, instead of offering free burgers, how about just offering only plant-based foods to sell on the day, and continue to make a profit? But you're becoming part of it. And the beauty of it is if they refuse, you can use that as part of your offer. We offered this to the actual people producing the bad burgers. They had an offer to join in. They didn't. You know what I mean? It can be worked the way both ways anyway, whether they do or don't go with it. Like.
Go ahead, Miles.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. And so for people who don't know me, I'm up here in Canada. I should go get my flag and we'll wave it around like I'm on a trucker strike or something like that. I hope to see, James, your interview with the scientists, Ye Tao, and was it Dr. Salter, Stephen Salter? You recently interviewed them. So I hope to see that. And now to food healers, I'll also add that Art Hunter of the Canadian Association of the Club of Rome circulated your agenda today, Jamin, for the block party. So hopefully some of those people will come around. I think there's about 100 scientists and people who are on the climate Google group that they have, which he posted your invitation to. And they're particularly interested in marine cloud brightening or any other solar radiation management topic. So someone might come around, or hopefully many will pop by. And yesterday, to share this, because it just seems so timely, I'm sure perhaps some of you already know it, but I was in a Calgary Interfaith Council Bible study, which I just thought, oh, this sounds interesting, so I'll drop in. And it was a Bible study led by two rabbis, so that's interesting. And their chapter of the Bible, or what book they were in, was Deuteronomy. And Deuteronomy chapter 20 is really interesting and timely about going to war, has biblical statements related to going to war. But what jumped out at me was, I didn't know this, but if you go to Deuteronomy 20, verse 19, this is what it says. When you lay siege to a city for a long time, fighting against it to capture it, do not destroy its trees by putting an axe to them, because you can eat their fruit. do not cut them down. Are the trees of the field people that you should besiege them? However, you may cut down trees that you know are not fruit trees and use them to build siege works until the city at war with you fails. So really, to me, talks to don't be specious and go vegan, right? And then what was the other thing that I wanted to say? Oh, I was just wondering, you're going to hold a press conference very soon. And a couple of weeks ago when I was visiting, I suggested contacting German in Venice, the video blogger. And he's on Venice Beach. He operates a henna tattoo booth. If you're looking for him, he might be there. So I just asked, maybe Sarah's reached out. She's got something posted. And then the other thing too, I'm thinking is there's another vlogger, video blogger called Louis Offer, Louisoffer. He's a friend of German in Venice. And then there's all these other video bloggers. And I'm thinking, you know, the mainstream media, you're almost wasting your time sending them a press release, right? But if you send the press release to all these vloggers, even though like German in Venice, he's got almost 250,000 subscribers and he gets tens of thousands of views. So anyway, maybe you want to talk to that. Thanks.
Brilliant, Miles. Well, Sarah has her hand up and she's the perfect person to speak to that. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just texting Jane to see if she could come on, because when she found out Dr. Rao was here, she was disappointed that she didn't get to see him. And I just thought she knew that he was in town. I just think it's good for her to be able to invite her to these meetings so that she can be a part of it. And the German in Venice, maybe Jamin, you could just message him now. Miles, do you have a way, is he the German in Venice on Instagram or YouTube, or I think he's YouTube, but I'd like to invite him to our Saturday event.
Yeah, we
still need a videographer.
He's quite the character. He's really funny and he puts together great little videos. Now, are any of these people vegan? Probably not, but they're always looking for content, right? Something to cover. And it's like, well, if you get a whole bunch of them coming in and just even videotaping your booth there at the park, where you're handing out free food for part of one of their videos, that's great coverage. And insofar as reaching out to him, I think it might be a bit difficult, but I just know him through his YouTube channel, and whether he has Instagram and such, I don't know. But really, I was just wondering if you don't just go to his little henna tattoo booth there right on the Venice Beach boardwalk and just talk to him personally. Might be the easiest thing to do to get him. And then this Louis Offer, he's a funny friend of this German in Venice. He's quite the character. I guess he was in the movie industry there, and he's retired now. He drives around in this hot red Corvette. He's got a dog that's quite comical, and he's kind of got a devil look to him, but he seems that he's a really sincere fellow. Don't be scared by his looks. And he's also got quite a few followers. And then they're always talking about the other friends they have that are doing the same thing in the Los Angeles area. So I hope you might get these people out to cover your booth.
I love it. I love it. I'm on his page right now. I'll send him a message and invite him to come, and invite everyone to come. That's awesome. Awesome advice there, Miles. Thank you. Great stuff. Yeah. So our main focus right now, we'll be getting on SRM in half an hour, and that's when we'll be talking about that meeting that you mentioned, Miles, which we had on Wednesday. with various scientists and engineers, including Dr. Silas Rao, who was a real hit. Everyone totally engaged with Silas on the topics he was bringing up, and just huge inspiration.
Well, the other thing too, these bloggers would just love to cover you in your Darth Vader costume, doing your songs and singing, because they're looking for that crazy stuff that happens down there on Venice Beach. I think they'd just gobble you up, Jamin.
No, you're absolutely right, Miles. You're absolutely right. That's a huge point. Thank you for that. Yeah. So yeah, World Food Healers Day. I think we have a formula here, quite frankly. And when I was thinking about like the comments about McDonald's or Marriott or whatever, these big corporations, definitely worth a shot. There's no harm in reaching out, but I really think our vegan bread and butter is going to be the vegan restaurants, the independent vegan restaurants with whom we can form kind of a triangle of win-win-win all the way around: the restaurant, Unchained TV, and Food Healers, right? I mean, it's just win-win-win. All three of those win with every single contact, with every single interview, with every single recipe that's made and broadcasted and published on Unchained TV, because all these things would be just totally open source, right? And even, tastings where we could get some, volunteer vegan tasters to taste and not just vote with a numerical score. That's very low dimensional, but give feedback and have the feedback on the channel. So people say, oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah. That's a bit too spicy for me, but some people might like it. How do we do it so we have maybe a lower spice version and a high spice version, right, etc. So I just I'm so excited about what we're cooking up here, pun intended. All right, passing the feather. Yeah, Sarah made a point in the chat about getting more local news out there. I think this presents a really awesome breakout opportunity for Unchained TV, to really come into its own, because it will basically become that thing that unites the vegan restaurants of Los Angeles. And if we're the ones who present Unchained TV with this opportunity and actually go ahead and line up the events for Unchained TV, then Food Healers, is right there as well. Again, think triangle, the golden triangle, the golden vegan triangle: vegan restaurant, Unchained TV, Food Healers. Boom, 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 right there. And Ray and Kelly have their hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, Jamie, you kind of touched upon what I was saying, which was, definitely we can get local news, but another way of growing Jane's channel is we can be the news. We can be the alternative news, where the volunteers that are working in these organizations are the one that's delivering the news, and and however that looks, and that is where we can offer that promotion to these companies, is kind of teasing what's going to come. We can kind of do a mini version of Food Healers, is just maybe we have a little bit of stew that we're giving away to random people on the street, so we can get the reactions in the meantime and create that news sort of feeling, right? And have that a channel there, of doing that, as a build up to the actual day.
Oh my goodness, I love it, Kelly. Sarah, I trust you're listening in on this, but imagine that as part of the program, right? Just consider this: since we're doing our feeding events, we're working towards every Saturday. What if we line up specific restaurants who volunteer and say, listen, we will not only, cook this stew and get it on Unchained TV and taste it and all that, we'll cook a big pot and we'll deliver it to the following Saturday feeding event. And then they can come and see the reactions of the public What do you think? What do you think? That's what they want. They want feedback. And then they can tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. Oh my goodness, we're going to come up with the most amazing stews, the most amazing recipes that will then be shared around the world. And these recipes will then put specific restaurants on the map, right? Because they'll give out the bowl of stew and probably a little flyer for their restaurant. Why not? Win, win, win all the way around. And then Unchained TV can start filming our events, our Saturday events, etc. Right? And Ray, you had something to say about a Starbucks comment? Go for it.
Yeah, I had mentioned Starbucks because I remember they had some sort of a bond, some sort of a stock or bond that constrains to an environmental agenda. So they're trying to get a green kind of association with their brand, and they've got a limited number of things that they have available for food and a limited kitchen capacity. So at first I didn't even consider them, but it made me think of Tim Hortons, and they have they're our coffee shop in Canada, and they make stews, they make soup, they make chili, and they certainly have that capacity, and they like national projects. You know, they support like hockey in Canada and try to have this Canada's involved in something kind of branding. It wouldn't be a starting move, but once we gain momentum, getting that more corporate face involved, and that gets you into every little town in Canada, because everybody has one. You're only a town in Canada if you have a bank and a Starbucks, or sorry, a Tim Hortons. I mean.
Yeah, Tim Hortons is the Starbucks of Canada. So
Tim Hortons has kind of got more of the Dunkin' Donuts kind of vibe. It's not quite as the coffees only cost $1 instead of $5.
But they're trying to make themselves be a little bit more bougie. Like I went to one yesterday or the other day in one of the more like upper middle class neighborhoods. It's a neighborhood that's really growing in Toronto near my hairstylist. It's where we used to live. And I was able to they had all the non-dairy, like they have not switched over to non-dairy milks, only select ones. And that one was a select one. So I got a chai latte with soy milk, and they had almond soy oat, and it was delicious. It tasted just like the Starbucks one. So they do want to look like they're progressive, and definitely plant-based food is, they still haven't unfortunately moved in that, like you can't get plant-based food there, you know, but maybe this is something that would push them towards it.
They had the Beyond Burger for a while. They got rid of
That's
it.
right.
And I have a feeling it has to do with their headquarters being in Alberta. Miles, you got any insight into that? The beef capital of Canada.
Miles is away having a vegan coffee. Oh, there you go, Miles.
Who's headquartered in Calgary?
Isn't Tim Hortons headquartered there?
I don't think so. But
I may be wrong about that. But I think
one thing I have noticed is that the dairy industry around here is trying to greenwash themselves, talking about, how, they are caring for the planet and all this. So they're obviously getting quite desperate. Like the oat milks are taking over, really, I think, and the almond milk. And so, I don't know why Tim Hortons would have pulled that vegan offering. That's a good question. A&W, they've got a great Beyond Meat burger. That's what I eat when I go there.
There's always that backlash of support Canadian farmers, and they think that means supporting meat. So, how popular was it? It probably wasn't at all popular in rural Canada, unfortunately. So that's exactly my insight into it's in every little town.
Dairy Queen
may have backfired.
Dairy Queen has a coconut dilly bar ice cream, coconut milk.
Yeah, they're delicious.
offering.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
And the A&W now has an extent, so they got the Beyond Burger. Now they have a jalapeno line, which is actually has a vegan aioli. So that's a completely vegan version versus the Beyond comes with mayonnaise and you have to ask to take it off because it's not vegan. So like they're
Okay, right. Yeah,
slowly
that's,
moving. And in the meantime, even if we don't tackle like big, I know we want big corporate names, why not start with these like local coffee bars, which really do preach sustainability in their practices, right? And we're supporting small businesses, which is, something that, we prefer to give our money to small businesses than big corporations.
Yeah, brilliant idea. Oh, BJ has her hand up and followed by Jamin. Go for it, BJ.
Oh, go ahead, Jamin.
Oh, I was just going to say, following on Kelly's comment, these cafes are a giant opportunity because if there's over 400 vegan restaurants in Los Angeles, there's probably over 4,000 cafes, coffee stands, etc. And each one of those, since they specialize in the beverage, which is plant-based to begin with, and every cafe in LA offers, hemp milk, oat milk, soy milk, other alternate milk and cream options. Every cafe in Los Angeles is a potential, vegan outlet for us for exactly what we're talking about. So we can really expand, the vegan pie by going not just targeting vegan restaurants. That's obviously where we need to start, is vegan restaurants, but then there's ways to expand like into cafes. So great point there, Kelly and Ray. Yes, BJ, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question for Dr. Rao, but I was also thinking about the one little cafe stop here that we have that is new and hip, and they're so cool. They're farmers. They have their own goats and their cows, and so it's really, they're real sustainable because they do all the, so that's their image, and yet I have a good relationship with them. They've let me put up vegan literature and I've talked to them about it, but still so anyway, but they, after LA catches on, they do have alternative milks, but they charge more for those. So but I do believe they might help out on Food Healers Day. I mean, I can see how they might do that. But my question is, and this may help when we promote things, it may not, but when I was listening to a recording of the EPA guy and the professor, Dr. Stoops, John Stoops, at one point he said that being vegetarian was even worse. And I wanted to write him and ask him, does he have stats on that, or is it conceptually worse, because then you feel like you're good enough and you don't have to do more? And so I think if I understand that argument better, that will be helpful to me, because I know, do people who are vegetarian, do they tend to increase their dairy and cheese consumption? I'm not sure how that works, but I think if we know that answer, this may not be the time for it, but I was thinking that would also be helpful if somebody says, well, we're a vegetarian place, but for today we're going to do vegan food. Anyway, that was what was on my mind.
So Alicia's pointed out that being vegetarian in India is worse.
Yeah, I have there's a whole paper we wrote called The Ethical Vegetarian Myth.
Oh, yes, I've read that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a chapter in a book that Hope Bohanek is editing.
Okay.
So it's been accepted for publication. So
okay.
Yeah, it'll be in 2023.
Thank you. I'll go back and read it again. Thank you. I remember loving the part about the almond trees being explained, and
yes.
So okay, thank you.
Yeah, see, I mean, I think we need to focus first on all the vegan establishments, get them on board, and then we can go to the vegetarian places and the other big chains and so on, because I think it's it's focusing on health first and foremost. That's why any animal product doesn't really work when you talk about the health angle. Though the other side has been printing, bad papers saying that eating meat increases longevity. and I think they did the study comparing it with starving vegans, to poor people who didn't have any food. So anyway, so as you know, statistics can always be manipulated, but we now know that a whole food plant-based diet is the best from a health perspective. So we are saying just on that day, let's all eat healthy food. And that eliminates a lot of this other, arguments about, can we not bring ethically raised meat, nonsense like that. So we can say, forget it. It's not part of the agenda at the moment. So I think focusing on health, our health, health of the planet, health of the animals, and healing as the common theme around which we're all coalescing as a species. And I think that's the way we want to frame it for World Food Healers Day. Go ahead, Ray.
Celeste, you mentioned that you've got a logistic expert in your family who's going to be addressing this. How much is logistics going to be, the core of our discussion? I mean, all this is logistics. How is he getting involved? Is he going to be involved in our discussions online, or is there other people that are going to be attacking this regionally?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having him look at, he's supposed to be here today, but he just came back yesterday from California, so he's tired, I think.
What was his job before? Because you mentioned that he's sick and tired of moving Coke cans from one place to another.
Right, yeah. His job was to connect truckers with loads and destinations. So he was optimizing that, that's what his job was. Optimizing.
So it's got this kind of how do you get the resources from one place to another, and
right,
looking at the big picture and ticking all the boxes and being very efficient about it. That's
right. Yeah,
something we need. Certainly.
That's what we need. So basically, he's this is why I'm going to get him to look at the map of all the vegan restaurants and then population map and figure out, okay, where there is a hole and how do we fill the holes, right? And connecting, if there are vegans there, connecting them with resources that they need, and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of logistical work that needs to be done, to make a successful World Food Healers Day that everyone feels like they're part of something new. And starting this and building up to it with more and more, infrastructures of helping people grow their local forests, food forests, local food resilience, and then figuring out how to make this thing go once a month, as opposed to just one day and then we are off and we do a regular thing until we come back next year, right? No. This is a new way of thinking that we are trying to get.
Beautiful.
Go ahead, Jamin, I guess.
Oh, okay. Ray, Kelly, you're done. Okay. So you're saying the focus on health. I just put into the chat health and healing, right? Because they both go together. They have the same root, and then because it kind of can start with the individual. Oh, my health, right, and then healing, as beyond me, the planet, ecosystems, etc. And then regarding logistics. And these conversations go back now, a couple of years. We started, dreaming of a Food Healers Los Angeles, and then Sarah stepped forward and said, we're doing this, and just started doing it. And we were all just so blown away. That's why I'm here, because of what Sarah started. And but part of our original vision was something grand, big volume, right? Which is what we ultimately need to get to. So in terms of logistics, we had talked about actually preparing the stew like in a food factory and then shipping it around cold in trucks, cold for a number of reasons, mainly to maintain nutrition, reduce bacterial growth, et cetera. And then they can be heated where they're finally going to be eaten in someone's home, for example. But this talk about logistics makes me think about the possibility of sourcing the produce mainly and other ingredients, beans, rice, et cetera, and actually distributing those, whether it's to a cafe, to a restaurant, et cetera, where they place an order, we deliver all the raw materials already cleaned, already chopped, and in hygienic, reusable containers, et cetera. And then all they have to do is mix and heat, because it's all right there for them. Anyway, those are just a couple of thoughts I wanted to throw in there. And then I see Sarah has her hand up, followed by Miles. Go for it, Sarah, sister.
If I might just respond to what you said, Jamin, and then Sarah can go. Thanks. What's happening in Phoenix is that for our weekly distribution, the community kitchen is offering to actually fundraise for us, because they have a lot of customers, and they're asking some of their customers are offering to donate money for the houseless people, feeding the houseless and so on. And so community kitchen is saying they get about not much, about $200 a month in those donations, but that's plenty for buying beans and rice. Beans and grains, for the month. And so they're offering to give us the beans and grains, and we just have to go and get the veggies, and then we can chop it up and add it, right? So to me, it's like a win-win situation that's happening, and I would like to see if that model can be used in Los Angeles also. Some establishment would just say, can you donate for food healers, and put a thing there, and then whatever that gives us the flow for money. So that's the way it's working in in Phoenix. Ingrid basically said, don't worry about the beans and the rice, I'll give them to you. Okay, you just bring the veggies and we'll make the stew together. Go ahead, Sarah.
Who is Ingrid?
Oh, Ingrid Hertz and her husband Daniel Hertz have been running the community kitchen in Phoenix for the last 12 years. And for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years, they've been vegan. And so they've been trying this new food model. So they kind of identified that the food system is the one that's making us do the stupid things we do as a species. So they're trying this new food model where the community comes together. So we have had this community dinner at Ingrid's place every Monday until COVID hit.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I thought about starting a vegan supper club in Los Angeles, because in Atlanta they had this, our group of friends had this thing called Supper Club. And it was once a month, and everybody brought, there was like a menu or whatever, but I just think that, vegan supper club is really needed here. And I wanted to just ask you, so what is your, when you're going to these, like, let's say that you have an example of when you went to Veggie Grill headquarters or you went to another vegan restaurant, do you have a certain script that you go by? I think that if we're already in LA and Jamin's already here, we should start going around and doing this. And I wrote in the chat about the Pinky Promise photo of you and Kamaya. I think that would be great to use as World Vegan Day with that poster, because it's already made, the image is already there, and it's it draws in children, it draws in families, it draws in people of color that can relate. It's not just white people serving food for, it's really cool that you're doing this and that you're calling it World Food Healers Day. So I think that if we could have some type of, I don't like to waste paper per se, but I just think if we had some type of a stock card made up and it has World Vegan Day, kind of like what Plant-Based Treaty does. They have those cards. They're like a 4x6 card, and it has all the information that you need to participate. And we should have people registering for World Food Healers Day. They should be registering and saying, this is how many people that they're able to feed on that day. So based on the size of their restaurant and what they can make, they can say, well, we can feed 100, we're committed to feed, everybody that comes in. You don't even have to have a number, but we would like to get some type of a, so that way we can say we fed 1 million people on World Food Healers Day. I do think that we need a sort of a sales system, and because it's really cold calling. You're just going in and you're asking them to participate. And I think that most people will say yes, because like I said, the LA community, vegan community is very close. And another thing that Jamin and I could do on Sunday, even though we are very tired, we could go to, another thing we could do, Jamin, before I take you to 5 more vigils, is we could go to the vegan exchange this Sunday. It's from 11 to 5, and it's every type of vegan food truck. No, it's not so healthy, all of it, but there's loads of healthy stuff. There's a lot of juicing places there, but we should talk to them about World Food Healers Day, because they'll be there from 11 to 5 on that day. They go every Sunday. And on that day, we should have them do something there. I mean, because that's a controlled environment. It's all closed off. The street's closed off. It's Backman Avenue. So I would like to take you to these places so you can kind of get an idea of how expansive we can make this Food Healers. Does that make sense to you? Because it's even in LA, it could just be so big, and it could grow in LA so exponentially that it just needs to be a model for how we do it. And I just believe that if you get the people if you go in person, like Miles said, you go in person and you meet these people face to face, like we do to the farmers market on Sunday. When we go there on Sunday, it's like you're just talking to them, you're meeting them, and you're telling them about what we're doing. And then they like that, because we're not doing anything wrong. It's everything that we're doing is for the better. So then they buy into that, and they're like, oh, okay. And then that's another way you can get donations if they can't donate food. Even though we don't want to ask for donations at the farmers market, if we did a plant-based food tasting at the Beverly Hills Farmers Market, like they invited us to do, that's when I don't really want to ask for donations, but if they want to offer donations, somebody can handle that part, is what I'm saying. But I just think that we really need to be getting these people on board and letting them know, yeah, we're getting the food from the community already. And we could even give them the food to cook the stew if we needed to, because we get it from the YMCA. Jamin got beans and rice the other day, and we went to the farmer's market, and he met Kuko, one of the farmers, directly. Even though Scott, the owner, wasn't there, he sends his workers to work at the farmer's market. But we just need to be very strategic and make sure that we are making relationships with these people, and we're just not wanting to go in there and say, oh, well, can you just make stew for one day? Because we want to make sure that it's going, like we go there now and tell them 7 months in advance that hey, we're doing this every weekend, this is what we do. We invite you to make the stew, and we could bring it down and serve it. And then I know that's going to get into legal food issues probably, but I think Dr. Rouse said we have the law behind us for that, the Good Samaritan law. But I'm trying to figure out how we can really get this to be fine-tuned and work in a very small controlled environment first, and then we spread it everywhere because it picks up with the local media getting it out. But we want to make sure that, like with Nancy, she said in Toastmasters Sunday, in Vegan Toastmasters, I gave a speech about Food Healers, and then Nancy wanted to do Food Healers after that in Baltimore. That she was really nervous and had, of course, apprehension and insecurities about what what to do, how do you set it up, how do you get the food, how do you get the volunteers, all the stuff. So we really need to reach out to those people that are saying, yes, I want to do this, I'm interested, and go ahead, and when they're ready and they say they want to do it, we give them that support that they need. Because if you don't give them the support right away, they're not going to want to do it after that. It'll just, something else will come up, and some other vegan event. And I believe that we really have something going now that we've done a lot of events. We should really go to those restaurants. Like I can take a time out of my day and go to 4 or 5 restaurants. If I have the proper materials and I have everything in a good presentation form, it sounds much more professional, and it's going to be better. Because if you look at all these food organizations, they're organized. They have that thing that we got our presentation last Friday from, I think Susan was her name. I think her name was Susan. But anyway, I'm finished. I just wanted to put that out there, that we really do need to get all of the food healers to start coming to these meetings and or somehow find a way to converse with them and strategically get this to where it's kind of like not a system, but a process of which we get all of these people on, like, okay, here, you want to do food healers in Baltimore? Okay, here's everything you need to do. You got to get here. We're going to order you the tent. We're going to order you. Here's your local food bank. You can get everything on Wednesdays from here. And here's your farmer's market. It's open on Tuesdays from 9 to 1. And then you go and you start relationships with them and talk to them about what we're doing. And I just think that there's so many farmers markets. Okay, so there's a farmer's market every day in Los Angeles. Every single day, Jamin could go in Los Angeles to a farmer's market and get food. So that's what I'm saying, is that we need to go ahead and use our resources that we have here. And then they can tell us about other farmers markets, like the farmers market in Beverly Hills, Balick. They also go to Santa Monica Saturdays, which we do our food events. But Saturdays is a huge Santa Monica farmers market. And then they have one in Pasadena. So your friends, Dr. Rao in Pasadena, if they're interested in getting free food from the farmers market there, I have farmers that are there on certain days. So that's what I'm saying, is that we should start really working on the ground and getting all these farmers markets every single day. Who can go there? Who can get relationships with these people? And then it becomes an ongoing thing, so that when Jamin and I go next Wednesday, we don't feel guilty for asking for the food, because it's already put aside for us, like Food Forward in Los Angeles. Every Saturday and every Wednesday and every day that Food Forward has any kind of, in with the farmers market, they will put boxes. Every single one of those vendors will put boxes aside for Food Forward. We're going to need to get to that point in the future. We're not there yet. So we're kind of like, no, we don't need that much food. Don't worry. We just need, enough carrots for 3 bowls, 3 things of stew. But really, truthfully, we're going to need more than that when this gets going. So we do need to go ahead, and I know we're here talking about this and we have all these meetings and stuff, but we do need to get on the ground and really every day. If we're on this block party, I understand that's important, but we do need to be out in the field. And that's where we are getting the food. I mean, literally, we're getting it from the fields through the farmers, and they're bringing it to the sidewalks. And we just have to get to that part. We have to do that. We can't just ignore that and say someone else is going to do it. So we do need to figure out who's going to do that. I don't mind stepping up, and obviously I go to the farmers market on Sunday and Wednesdays anyway, but I'm just saying we do need to get all these people that are wanting to do food healers to the local level. That's where I think it all starts, because that's where Jamin started with Community Cafe. That's where Dr. Rao and Kamaya started with their stew, and it's just keep them with their Phoenix. I just feel like we have to keep it localized on a very small level and within the vegan community, because that's how you get the volunteers. That's how you build it up, like Dr. Rao said, and then you go out big once it becomes really fine-tuned, and it's not, oh, we don't have a filmer for Saturday. No, we have a filmer. Every event we have a filmer. This person is a filmer. If they can't film, then we have 4 people behind them that are backups. So we have to do this and make it professional and make it a schedule. Even though it's laid back and it's fun, we still need to make it where it works, where there's a formula, where there is a way to get people started, where we don't have to go through and we don't have to order 4 tents before we get the right one made. I hope that makes a lot of sense. I'm sorry to go on for so long, but we do need to move on from this meeting to SRM. And Jamin has a lot of work to do, because he went and bought a bunch of stuff last night, and like a crazy person, but that's good. And he's going to be cutting up all these vegetables and stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. He's going to get an idea of what it's really like to do this, because it seems so easy from the outside. But Jamin spent all day yesterday, and then he was like, I'm so tired, I gotta eat. And I was like, oh, whatever, like, who has time to eat? Like, when we're trying to get all this stuff done for an event. So when you're doing 3 events every Saturday, there's really not a break in the work, because every day you got to do something different for food healers. So I just want everybody to know that we do need to make sure that we work as a team and not get spread out, but keep our core group together. Like Dr. Rao said, with the Food Not Bombs people, they already know that. They already have that vegan food mentality, how to heal people. So we just bring people in like that. And then that's how you get it out to me, you get more people to go vegan that way, and you get more people to want to know about food healers, because right now we're just doing like it on a small scale. But I am like with Jamin, I want to do it on a really, really, really big scale, because it's very, very needed in Los Angeles. People are starving out here, and we can't feed everybody, but we can, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Just a quick response to what you just said. Everything you said is absolutely right, spot on. And that's what we are trying to do before April 16th, is getting the process sorted out so that we know what to do going forward beyond April 16th. So it's a please, this is what we're working on. And Carl is actually working on how to get Viga involved in this so that we can go with a nice story and we have the process sorted out. And that's what I'm trying to do also in Phoenix. So thank you so much for all your work. Go ahead, Miles.
Oh yeah, great ideas. And I'm sorry, I just sit in my chair here tossing out ideas and maybe putting more pressure on people. But it's World Food Healers Day. And you know what, as I mentioned, I'm a member of the Canadian Association of the Club of Rome Google group for climate. And I'll send out stuff. I think they know I'm from Alberta, so they think I'm some sort of an agent for the fossil fuel industry. And because the other day I sent them The Price of Green Energy, a documentary by Deutsche Welle, which is the German state television network. They produce some pretty good documentaries. So The Price of Green Energy, what they're saying is that, fossil fuels are grinding to a halt, but the demand for other raw materials is rising. These days, rare earth metals like graphite, copper, lithium are key components in high-tech products, not just smartphones and laptops, but electric vehicles, wind power plants as well. And the extraction process fails to take into account workers' health and safety or basic environmental standards. Shows the terrible pollution in China and in Chile and Bolivia, where these materials are mined, and the workers if they have protection, they're just wearing like a piece of cloth, a rag over their face for respiratory protection. And I said to my wife, I said, because I got all this backlash from people in the group. Oh, that video was produced by fossil fuel industry, but it's not. If you listen to it to the end, it definitely isn't. And they're very big on, this is the latest Tesla battery, and here's the most recent solar panel. And so there are a lot of technology-oriented people in this group. But I said to my wife, I said, I don't feel guilty going on vacation, driving my internal combustion engine. I don't feel that bad about it, or as guilty as I might otherwise, because we are vegan or striving to be vegan. And that's, according to the research you've put out very plainly, is the number one by far contributor to fossil fuel greenhouse gas emissions. So the thought about the World Food Healers Day is that take it to the airlines and tell them you want to become a vegan airline, and you can tell people, hey, yeah, you're going on vacation, but you're flying on a vegan airline, and we support the fact that it's diet is the number one cause of greenhouse gas emissions. Now I'm thinking in Los Angeles, you're one of the major world hubs for all these international airlines. And yeah, they're going to look at it at first like, what the heck is this all about? But putting it on, you go into these airlines and their offices in Los Angeles area or right at LAX, and maybe Darth Vader needs to go stand out there in front of LAX with a sign, and getting people to think, hey, yeah, why should I feel as guilty as some people might make me feel? about going on my vacation when I'm striving or I am a vegan. Thoughts on that?
Ultimately, it's about reducing our footprint as much as possible, right? It's not just, food is the major footprint provider. So you can say that going vegan, you're reducing your footprint as much as possible. But then if we keep flying around, we are increasing our footprint. So you have to be mindful of that. I always think about, okay, what am I flying for if I fly? If I'm flying for my own jollies, I won't do it. But if I'm flying to spread the movement, if I'm flying for a larger purpose, I say, okay, that's worth doing. I just have to, every action we do, we have to evaluate and see why are we doing it and be mindful of that. So these are all tools that are given to us, that are available to us to heal the planet and to heal ourselves. So that's how I see it. And I don't want to, I don't want this to become like what the Catholic Church used to call as dispensations, I think, or what is it? That you are welcome to do this provided you do this. You are welcome to do this bad thing provided you go and say 10 Hail Marys or whatever. It shouldn't be that way. Okay, so anyway, when we are all focused on the larger objective of healing the planet and healing ourselves, I think we will all make the right decisions, So that's the why we are doing things should be our central story. And then we can trust people to start doing the right thing. Anyway, I have to get going, guys. Thank you all very, very much.
Silas, great hanging with you, brother. Look at the progress we're making.
As always, you're such an inspiring group of people that I love coming here.
With you here, Silas, it's perfect. So you're part of the group. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Seriously.
Go ahead, BJ, and then I'll go.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I did go to a class a couple of years ago where there was an article about an airline CEO who said they want to do, who wants to be sustainable, wants to contribute. So I think that there is a way to tap into that so that they're doing their part. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, BJ. All right. What an awesome Food Healers segment. Friday morning, we'll be meeting again this evening from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time, right here in the same Zoom room on the Block Party. Coming up next, we're going to shift gears to solar radiation management. So I'm going to go ahead and pause recording.